welcome back, Saints, to another video. My name is Roosevelt, for those of you who don't know me. And the topic that we'll be speaking on today is sanctification, holiness, whichever word you want to use. Sanctification is such an important process in the life of a Christian. It is the process that we go through from the moment we give our life to Christ up until the day that we breathe our last. Sanctification is being more like Jesus, mirroring our life to be like Jesus, striving for holiness, striving for righteousness, up until the day we're gone. Sanctification is being set apart from the world for the Lord. So that's a way to put it. Sanctification is not just a matter of being separated from sin, although that is a part of it. Sanctification, or being a saint, is not just true for some Christians, but it's true for all Christians. Sanctification is our lives being reserved for the Lord, living with Jesus and living for Jesus. As Paul states in Romans 8:29, for those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. That's the purpose that God has for us, that we may become like his Son as we go on in our lives. Another good thing about sanctification is that it helps us with confusing the gifts with the graces. The fruits of the Spirit that Paul mentions in Galatians 5:22-23, they grow. Those fruits of the Spirit grow in us because of God's grace. Love, kindness, joy, etc. The gifts spoken about in the New Testament, prophecy, tongues, and so on and so forth, all those things that Christianity seems to be obsessed with. Everybody wants to focus on the gift, on the higher gifts. Those aren't the same as the fruit of the Spirit. It's easy to be deceived into thinking that because someone has special gifts, they are better. We can be deceived into thinking that just because they have these higher gifts, they might be more holy. But that's not always the case. Remember that Jesus said, it's not by the gifts, but it's by the fruits produced in someone's life that we see real holiness, as you see in Matthew 7. And as he continues towards the end of the Sermon on the Mount, he states that many will come to him and talk about these gifts. Didn't we prophesy your name? Didn't we do X, Y, and Z? And what does he say? Depart from me, I'm never knew you, you workers of iniquity. Yikes, that's something we really don't want to hear. So it shows you, Jesus implies that there was no relationship between them, that they were all about performance, but they never said that they wanted to know Jesus or be like him. But that's a whole nother topic in itself. We're not even going to get to that. But that's just something to think about. Sanctification, the process of sanctification, helps us through that, to not be deceived, to not fall into these traps. I think that if we want to know what holiness is like, then we need to stay away from the trends that we see now in Christianity. And I don't even have to mention what these trends are. If you look at the Christianity landscape, it's all over the place. As I stated earlier, being a saint is not only for special Christians, it's for all Christians. We cannot be Christians without being saints. We cannot be Christians without going through the process of sanctification. If we're not being sanctified, then we really need to see where we stand. We need to be someone who is set apart for the Lord. This is why Paul starts so many of his letters, greeting the recipients as saints. We're saints. We're called to be saints. The Lord has claimed them, he has reserved them for himself, and he has set them apart from the world. And he does the same for us now. Sometimes it's so easy to forget who we really are as Christians, and what it means deep down in the roots of our beings, what it is to be a Christian. We live in a world that seems to despise Christians and Christianity and try to make us feel small, try to make us feel like we're the bad people. But, you see, if God has put his hands on you and he set you apart, then you're not small. You're a saint. And we know that we are saints, set apart for God. And that can make all the difference. Knowing who we are in Christ makes all the difference on our perspective and in the way we handle things. So I just pray, that today you remind yourself that if you're a Christian, you're a saint. And knowing that should make you want to sing and rejoice.